This podcast is brought to you by MeUndies. Super soft, great fitting underwear that doesn't ride up. Get 20% off your first order and free shipping at MeUndies.com/screenplay. Get 20% off your first order and free shipping at MeUndies.com/screenplay.
Hello. Everyone's chugging.
Hey, you're watching Screenplay, hanging out this Tuesday. A little pre-taped on the goodness, but we did tweet some stuff out so you can still interact to an extent. Today I'm joined by Chris Demarais, Brandon Farmahini, and Mr. Blaine Gibson. Say hello, fellas.
Hi.
Hello.
That was such a soft opening. We were all just kind of like...
I was chugging. I was drinking as much beer as possible.
Chris, what were you doing? We were all drinking.
I was ready to say hi.
You were like sitting there primed.
ready to go. Today we are joined by Miss Mariel in the video store. Hey, Mariel, how you doing?
Good. How are
AKA
you?
Girl.
AKA Girl, yeah. I have
does
a lot
that
of
mean?
titles.
From Joel Heyman.
Oh, that's right.
On
And
the podcast.
you're also a fellow Cumberbatch hater.
I do think he looks like a foot. Sorry, Meg.
You shut your bitch mouth.
Whoa. Wow, shots fired.
But yeah, besides being a Cumberbatch hater, I'm an associate producer of this podcast, so
Yay. Go Mariel.
yeah.
And she does makeup.
And I do
Yeah,
makeup.
it's very true.
Let's
Jack
just
of all
keep
trades.
listing. Let's just list all the little
accolades.
things.
Well-
Also, terrible at back rubs. I'm kidding.
What?
Her face afterwards. Hey, Mariel, let us know what the quote of the week is this week. I think it comes from, I think it's a Charlie Sheen movie.
It might be. It is. We'll settle this the old Navy way. First guy to die loses. And we're doing this a little differently, so JJ tweeted it out. So we'll be looking at who replies to him.
Yeah, so this is already like pre-taped, so I could say it was a Charlie Sheen movie and make it easier for everybody. But it really narrows it down. When you think of a Charlie Sheen movie, what it comes to your head?
2.5 Men.
That's not a movie.
That's not, yeah.
I know, but it just comes to my head because Charlie Sheen's in 2.5 Men.
Oh, man. It's so hard now to think back to his movie career. It's like everything in that category in my brain
Dude,
isn't filled
Major
up.
League, man.
Oh, yeah. Major League.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Major League 1 and 2.
Ferris
I thought they were
Bueller
both
came to
fun.
mind.
Oh, that's right.
Fuck yeah.
Even though he's like he doesn't have a big part
At
in
the
it
end,
at all.
but his part is amazing.
yeah.
Those are sometimes the best parts in movies. It's just like they're there for like a scene. Alec Baldwin in Glengarry Glen Ross. That's
yeah.
like, they just show up, they're awesome, and then they get out while they're ahead.
I think Tom Cruise stole Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
But he
stole
needed
the
it
show.
too. Like, he totally needed that.
that was
resurgence.
PR for Scientology, yeah.
Well, Ben Stiller always had this thing. I was listening to this podcast and I saw these writers that wrote on the Ben Stiller show in the 90s, and they were talking about how he was obsessed with Tom Cruise. Anytime he could play Tom Cruise, he would do it. So, like, he always does, like, the Mission Impossible parodies. He would always play Tom Cruise. And then I think they did a Few Good Men one where they did, like, Boy Scouts Few Good Men version, and he was, like, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So, Ben Stiller he had to give back to Tom Cruise after all that time. He was like, I'm going to put you in a movie and
Yeah.
make you cool again.
That sketch they did together where like Tom Cruise was his stunt double
Yeah.
was fantastic. Ben Stiller is talking to Tom Cruise and John Woo, who plays himself in the sketch, and they were describing the scene where Tom Cruise and the bad guy, are coming towards one another with the motorcycles.
Yeah.
And it was like, what if we stop and Tom Cruise looks into the camera and says, this mission just got a hell of a lot more impossible. And then John Woo is just like, get out.
That's funny. Do you remember in Austin Powers, the Gold Member had that big fake opening of Austin Powers, and he turned out Austin Powers was played by Tom Cruise, and
That's when everybody loved him.
that was a big deal. There was a lot of cameos in there. I think Kevin Spacey was Dr. Evil, Danny DeVito was Mini-Me.
There's a lot of,
Damn.
Tom Cruise and Mel Gibson. Those were like two like A-list actors who just kind of got, I don't know.
But Tom Cruise
in the
is still
shitter.
riding that train of like Edge of Tomorrow and stuff. It's Mel
Yeah.
Gibson that's like doing Expendables 3 and stuff. But
I'm surprised Mel Gibson has made a comeback after all the anti-Semitic stuff.
Has he come
Yeah.
back?
well,
He
you know,
hasn't
I
really.
feel like it.
Hollywood can kind of forgive for the most part after years. That's the thing.
Braveheart 2.
Well, I feel like it's like any industry. It's like no matter if you fuck up. Like Rooster Teeth is a good example. Like if you do something stupid on Monday, like if you fuck up and everyone in the office is talking about how dumb you are, like come Tuesday or Wednesday, someone else will already have taken that role.
But it was so racist.
Oh, when Mel
and
Gibson
then
came out,
I forgot about the tape.
the girlfriend.
His
Yeah.
girlfriend. It's like,
Yeah, he's breathing really hard.
yeah, it was so bizarre. Like
Yeah.
he does not seem like a
I'd like to
A
see
guy you
him-
wanna hang out with.
I'd like to see him direct more. Because I mean, what he's directed a few. Like he just directed Braveheart, and he directed Apocalypto, and both those movies are pretty rad. So yeah, so we're split on the middle of Mel Gibson here.
Well, it's weird because like since I have the same last
What
name
a
as
random
him,
thing to talk
I
about.
always felt like I had to defend him, but the
you
more
are
he
Gibson.
fucked up, the more I was like, Mel.
Well, we'll talk about Mel Gibson's legacy here in a bit. When we talk about the Mad Max trailer that came out last week.
Oh, nice.
God, that
So
was
much
awesome.
stuff comes out right after we do screenplay. Like I don't know what the curse is. Like I think like a couple weeks back it was like right after we wrapped. Like see you guys next week. And then
Suicide
it was
Squad.
It was like Suicide Squad. The cast reveal. It was like God damn it. And then I forgot what it was last week. But there's always something that always scoops us. But yeah, Mad Max I think was what we missed last week. So we'll be talking about that trailer.
Not Mighty Max, which I was confused about. The old cartoon with like the chicken and the magic hat.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, which I know Mighty
See,
Mouse.
There's a lot of
So much.
Yeah, I don't know how people keep
Wait,
track.
there's a Mighty Mouse trailer out?
Blaine's got to go. I got to go, guys.
Is Mighty Mouse,
Excuse me.
is that Fifeful?
no,
Or are
no,
those
no,
two
no.
different mice?
Two different mice.
Okay.
No relation to Tom, Jerry, or
Mad Max.
or Speedy Gonzalez, for that matter.
Going back, wasn't Tom Cruise's character in Tropic Thunder? Wasn't that based on? Was it Bruckheimer?
Supposedly it's based on
Weinstein, right?
On one of the
Weinstein.
Weinsteins,
It's gotta
but I
be
don't know.
Weinstein.
It's definitely based on the producer, because I think he got dumped by his production company. I don't know if it was Paramount, but whoever he was with forever
Oh, Cruise?
or ended the.
Yeah, because Tom Cruise it was him and that Paula. They produced all those movies together. I think it was Paramount that dropped him. Yeah.
Okay.
After
Then I imagine it was maybe a
years.
producer from
Yeah.
Paramount.
I read on Cracked that the main Farquaad in Shrek is like he looks and sounds exactly like an old producer. I think at Disney or DreamWorks or something like that. No, it must have been Disney, because the guy then went on to make DreamWorks and make Shrek.
I love finding out later whenever you watch movies and people are like, "Oh, that character is totally based on this." Like when Christian Bale was like, "Oh, like my American Psycho character is based on Tom Cruise." You know, like
Yeah.
when you find out like, "Oh, that makes
Or Johnny
complete
Depp and Keith Richards for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow!
So-
and then they had Keith Richards. That was pretty funny.
So let's talk about a little bit more. We were talking about Christian Bale, but I didn't see any movies this weekend. I was doing a lot of editing, but Exodus came out. I just wasn't excited about seeing this biblical CGI fest movie. Like that's kind of what it's, and it's Ridley Scott, and it's got a lot of people behind it. But my whole thing is like Ridley Scott did Robin Hood with Russell Crowe a few years back, and I didn't see it. No one really cared about
pretty
it.
good.
Was it good?
It was actually pretty good.
Well, it just seemed like it was just like that kind of gladiator approach where they made Marion was on a horse and she was fighting people, and it was a little weird.
What do you have wrong? What's wrong with Gladiator?
Gladiator's great.
You want to go?
Oh, come on.
No,
You would love Gladiator.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Hell
let me put
yeah.
it this way: who here actually wants to go see Exodus? Actually,
I
wants
would
to
see it.
go
I want to
see
see it.
Really?
Yeah.
And I'm not like a big like Bible thumper or whatever, but like I saw Noah, and I just like seeing interpretations of biblical stories. Noah was actually not that bad, and that made one of its scenes made that top list of 2014.
and
We'll
I
talk
like,
about that later.
I like frogs.
You like frogs?
It's too many frogs, Chris. No. Imagine that you cannot go to sleep because there's like all of these frogs everywhere. You can't get into bed because there's frogs everywhere.
No.
How? Why are you saying no? Like
Nah.
what?
Chris, what's your
It
job
doesn't
title?
make
You assume I
sense.
can't sleep around frogs?
Yes.
Nah, I can sleep around frogs.
You can't sleep around crickets, and we only have a
bitch about
single cricket
yeah, but
in
you
our
know what? There
office.
wouldn't be any crickets because the frogs would eat them all. It'd be fine.
But then
Like,
they'd be
you-
riveting and not cricketing.
That'd be awesome. I like frogs.
You got yourself a bet.
Dumbass.
From
What's your job this week?
Oh, I'm a cosmetologist.
Nice.
Quick.
Yeah,
Lightning
really good
fast.
everyone's makeup today.
Discovery should do a show from the people who brought you Man Eaten by Snake comes Man Sleeping While Frogs Fall.
That'd be fun. I think frogs are awesome.
And then everyone could bitch about it.
They could be dangerous. Like there was this.
Yeah, there's poisonous ones.
And if you lick them,
Bill Cosby had this epic, horrible movie called Leonard Part 6.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
in the movie, they trained animals to kill people. And there was just like 100 frogs that went below a car, and while a guy was in it, and then they started jumping, and the car would just kept
It
jumping
seems like it would be
into
better
an ocean.
to train
great.
one lion than 100 frogs. Like,
That sounds like a
That's a
Reddit
lot of-
question. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
but-
that you're it's a
but
lot
I
of trouble
imagine
to
if you know how
train to train 100
You're really
frogs
thinking about the question.
to jump
if you can
at
figure
once
out
underneath a
No,
car.
it makes more sense because if you can figure out how to train one frog, you can figure out how to train 100.
Hold
Like
on.
I'm sure, like they're
All
so
right,
similar.
Yeah, okay, we're in frog territory.
Unlike
You
a
guys are on
lion.
some Gavanisms right now.
Also
Like,
need
can
to
a
not-
frog do this?
we can't talk about Cosby. at this
Well, no,
point.
one of my favorite things about Leonard Part 6, it's a movie that did worse than probably Ghost Dad. Cosby doesn't.
I love Ghost Dad.
yeah, you got a problem with Ghost Dad?
You know, what's it with after last week after we went off on Blaine and Batman? This week you guys are just looking for a fight. What do you got against Ghost Dad? The Ghost Dad throwdown.
I thought that was a fun argument. I think people were.
We are
down
not
the
restarting
middle.
that argument.
People were down the middle in terms of who they agreed with. It was fun.
It was true, yeah. I saw a lot of people being like, "I agree with Blaine." I was like, "What?" But no. And then when I saw the points, it made sense. Especially when you look at the animated. I always thought the best telling of Batman was the animated.
Absolutely, Batman animated series. I'm looking at it purely from
Under the Red
adaptation.
Hood, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, well, we've settled this.
Anyway,
plenty of
wait.
arguments.
The best part about Leonard Part 6, that Bill Cosby movie, is there were no, like, apparently there were Leonard's Part 1 through 5, but they were all classified.
Yeah.
So they released a movie called Leonard Part 6. I thought that was clever.
That's when we still made horrible movies. We didn't try to make it funny that we were making a horrible
We
movie.
still make horrible
like
movies.
Snakes on a Plane is like the ultimate.
Sharknado too. That's still
yeah,
gets-
that's kind of like
that
the
kind of
internet.
shit.
The internet like made it.
Yeah, they're trying to make something that's horribly bad. Like I think Samuel L. Jackson guaranteed that it would win Best Picture at the MTV Movie Awards. But it's like you can't create something bad.
Well, the thing
You-
about-
or intentionally create it bad. It has to be authentically horrible.
Well, the thing about Snakes on a Plane, after like the movie was shot, the guys wanted to like the guys who made the movie wanted to change the name to like Flight something something, like a flight with a number. And Samuel Jackson was like, no. The only reason I signed on for this movie is because it was called Snakes on a Plane.
Why does Samuel Jackson talk like that?
I don't know. It was an awful snake.
I think that was a pretty decent Samuel L. Jackson.
Should I put on a
impression.
Kangol
I'm not
hat
gonna
backwards?
comment
You
on
missed
the
a lot of
quality of these.
motherfuckers in there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, so the internet started making all these memes like, get these motherfucking snakes off my motherfucking plane. And then they actually went back. They went back and did reshoots and added lines of him saying what the internet like memes were saying.
Nice.
You know,
So
Deep
that's
Blue
when-
Sea was the first DVD I ever owned.
Wow.
That's the best.
Oh, he
speech.
gets I get eaten by a shark.
By a shark.
All right,
well,
so
I'm not gonna share
So let's talk a little bit about
anything.
the Okay, so the Sony leak is interesting, and I don't mind talking about it because I love everything about movies. Like the books I read about like these Miramax deals that gone wrong. Like I love reading about the industry.
I have some qualms with it because it gives a lot of spoilers.
Well, that's the thing was like, so there's been a lot of people like Seth MacFarlane, a bunch of people that are like, all these people that are talking about the leaks, shame on you. But the difference is like when WikiLeaks came out, like everyone was talking about that. This is the same thing as WikiLeaks. It just happens to be about entertainment industry.
I feel really guilty because when WikiLeaks came out, I was kind of like,
Yeah.
eh.
Well, I mean,
this
don't
came
get-
out and I was like, oh.
Well, don't get me wrong. If we got like attacked and someone found emails of like me talking shit about like Chris or something, I'd be upset, you know. So I feel a little weird talking about the Sony leaks while at the same time being like, well, I just hope.
Well, I think they're different in that entertainment is pure. Like the purpose of it is only to entertain.
Yeah.
And you know, it's bad in that there's people's careers and jobs and
Yeah.
all that, but it's different than Wiki. Like
Yeah, well, I mean, the approach is different, but it's still the same of like files, and then
Yeah,
there's,
it's leaked
there's an
documents.
abundance of files, and it's
Yeah.
like that's what's so interesting to me is that like all these, it's almost like binge watching. Like all these Sony leak files have just been like dumped, and people are like, "Well, give it a few days." So it's like one day this gets found, and after like weeding through on Wednesday, they're like, "Oh, we just found this." So it's like this total like needle in a haystack situation.
Let's address a couple because there was some
That's
news on
right.
Spider-Man. There was a lot of
that's the thing.
salary
Well,
stuff.
that's the thing is
A lot of
people-
references to
the
Adam
interviews.
Sandler.
Well, a lot of the well,
Really?
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the interview's been the
much
big
he
thing
sucks.
where they've been saying like,
Yeah,
take
exactly.
this movie away, don't release it. And now that Sony hasn't been budging and doing anything, people are now saying that there's going to be attacks on theaters with the interview, which to me is just that's a fucked up thing to say, especially since like the Batman Dark Knight Rises attacks and all that. Like, it's not a funny thing to play with.
it makes me want to go see the interview more.
Oh,
Because
exactly.
It's like you're not gonna scare us into not seeing a
This is
comedy.
America.
Yeah.
This is
Well, I mean,
this is
it's
how
like-
they win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm
So to give you background,
Not
the
going
movie, The Interview, is about two journalists who
Seth MacFarlane, James Franco.
wait.
That's Seth
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 Rogen.
Rogen and
Sorry.
James Franco. They're going to interview Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, and they're given the assignment from the CIA to assassinate him.
Take him out.
And I think it's interesting. I mean, I think there's an unbelievable parallel to a movie Charlie Chaplin made in the late 30s
Great
called The
Dictator.
Great Dictator, and
Totally.
it was all about Hitler. And I think that definitely came out before the Second World War, and it might have came out before they took the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia. So it was a movie about how this current dictator, not during the war, not the Hitler that we know, is bad and he's ruining the world. I think a lot of people would say, well, that's classier. This is so crude. It's like, no, that movie is the same style of movies at the time. Like
It's
most of it
yeah.
is Charlie Chaplin,
Yeah.
you know. But there's this.
Well, we've always
traveling.
made fun of like our current political situation. Like Naked Gun made fun of Saddam Hussein all the time. You know, like that was it's just a thing. Like we always make fun of, and that's the best way you
Is
can.
there a line though?
What's that? Well,
there a
I
line?
don't know if there's a line. Well, you know, going back to Charlie Chaplin thing. So he did The Dictator, The Great Dictator, and then it wasn't until he went on after that movie had come out years later, after he'd found out way more about the Holocaust. He said he had no idea about like concentration camps and all that stuff. And he said, if I knew what was really happened, I would have never made that movie because there's nothing funny about that.
Yeah.
So and Jerry Lewis made a movie about a clown, pretty much like what's the Roberto Benigni movie where Life is Beautiful?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Jerry Lewis, years ago, back when he was in his heyday, made a movie about a clown and a concentration camp that tries to like keep the kids happy and stuff. And apparently, it's like a Jerry Lewis movie, like where it's really zany and funny, but also like inside a concentration camp, and it's never been released. Like it's one of those like Harry Shearer, who's in Spinal Tap, one of the voice on The Simpsons. Like he's done interviews because he's one of the 5 people who've seen the movie. So anyway, it's always tough. There's always rough subjects to touch, and you never know like how to touch them. But obviously, this interview thing has ruffled some feathers, and in the end of it, through the backlash, we found out so much about Sony and just in general. So like, let's talk about Spider-Man really quickly.
Real quick. It's weird for me to say I disagree with Charlie Chaplin because, you know, he made this movie and it was his point. But, you know, the movie is comedic, but there's a 5-minute speech in which he talks about, you know, the tyranny of men and those who say they're going to free the people, but they take control. There's nothing funny about it. It's very eloquent and very smart and very passionate, and there's words in it.
Yeah.
And he was one of those people that he didn't like talkies.
Yeah.
And for that to come out when it did, before everybody was obvious like Hitler was a bad thing, I think is one of the most impressive things ever. And it's weird to hear him say after the fact that he wished he didn't do it.
Yeah, there's a really popular YouTube clip. I think it's like the greatest speech ever told or something, and it's Charlie Chaplin's speech from that movie with music
with
and
music.
like clips behind it.
Yeah, please.
Well,
by far, that's the number one thing I would watch
Chaplin
today.
never talked until that moment. Until that moment, The Dictator, he felt like this is the moment where I'm going to put actual dialogue in my movie because talkies had just kind of started. He was jumping on the bandwagon. But you know what the great thing about Chaplin is that a lot of people of the silent movie era had awful voices, or they just
But he's got an awesome
dude. When
voice.
he talks,
he's like,
dude, it's like Orson Welles.
I know.
Like it's got that like gravatas. Like I don't know, man. If you've never seen that clip,
Go
watch it. It's amazing. Okay, so we're going on to the stuff that we found out from the Sony leak. We've talked about a bunch of stuff. Obviously, they talked about how much they hate Adam Sandler and how they should be making better movies. But we've also found out that something that us geeks, comic book geeks, have been dreaming about for forever and daydreaming about, Spider-Man going back to Marvel, but we never thought it'd be a reality. And to find out via the Sony leaks that, in fact, they were having these conversations about how can we bring Spider-Man back to Marvel. Because it seems very evident now that Sony is like, yes, these Spider-Man movies aren't working. Sure, they're making decent money, but the critics don't like them, and they're not making bucos money like we thought they would. So they seems like Sony's very up to like letting Marvel take over, but in the end, they decided no, we'll just do Sinister Six and an Aunt May movie, and they're going to do their cartoon with the guys that did the Lego movie for Spider-Man. So it's kind of a bummer because Spider-Man was this close to being Civil War, and that would have been amazing.
I still don't think he's ever going to be in a Marvel movie until Marvel takes back the rights because there's just too much.
I don't think it can.
Bickering. Well, it can if they just freaking cooperate, but they won't because
there's too many like
distribution, there's promotion, there's toys and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
if you were Fox, I don't know why you do it. I'm not sure exactly what they said the justification was. It was a shame because I thought the first reboot movie they made was really great. The second one was kind of but I get Marvel's doing really great stuff. I don't think you can just assume, though, that it's going to be great if it goes back to Marvel because they ended Spectacular Spider-Man, I think was the name of the animated show, because Marvel got the animation rights to Spider-Man back. And then the show they have now is just Ultimate Spider-Man. It's just garbage. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I definitely think you should see how this new series is going to play out. And Andrew Garfield's the perfect Spider-Man. He's like fun, he's witty, and he feels like a nerd. Like he feels like a dork. I thought it was great. Like it's a shame. It would be a shame to me to see that series die out before it's really got going.
I didn't like the new Spider-Man.
Not even the first one?
Well, the first one I was okay with. I think I did like that one. The second one I thought was total shit. I don't think that they should ditch Garfield entirely just because of somebody else's like really bad moves. But yeah,
I mean, it's almost like I feel like someone should get 3 movies before.
Yeah.
It's like he hasn't even had the third
strikes.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strikes.
It's just tough though because the second movie is supposed to be good.
Yeah.
The second movie is
Second
supposed to
movie-
be
the
your
second
strongest
movie-
movie.
Should always. I mean,
Somebody asked on
traditionally, like it'd be X-Men. You know, it's
Yeah.
like the second one was really, really good.
Fuck yeah, it was.
Somebody asked on Twitter, has there ever been a trilogy where either the movies kept getting better or every single movie was just perfect? I don't know, because I think a lot of people, like, I feel like The Matrix, I feel like every movie is great. Like, I love every movie, but I feel like I'm in the minority
Yeah,
in
you
that
are.
sense.
Well, so what's the question? We're trying to figure out the best
Is
trilogy.
there a
What-
best,
is there a
not the
best
best,
story
not the
or
best trilogy,
the way
but
they get
where
better?
the movies got better?
I think Toy Story 3 was pretty close to that. That was one of the
Toy
examples
Story
you
was.
provided.
I don't remember. I think I
I
like
don't know
the
what
first one better than
is
the second
about.
one.
What's the second?
Toy Story was there's a bunch of other Buzz Lightyears, and then they introduce Buzz's nemesis. They go to that giant toy store. Woody gets kidnapped.
He gets kidnapped
Oh,
and
is
he
that
gets
when Joan
repaired.
Cusack
Yeah,
is...
Jesse. It's when the Jesse comes in.
Remember that
Meh.
sequence though when
The
he's like
second one
singing
isn't. I don't
Woody
think the
back
second
together?
one is better than the first one, but the third one is better than the.
Superb.
Let us know,
Yeah.
guys, what you think. What's your favorite trilogy? What's the trilogy that gets better over time? Hashtag RT Screenplay or comment in the comments below. Now, let me tell you about MeUndies. 90%. That's the percent of life that you're. That's the percent of your life that you're in your underwear. 90%. You know that? And underwear gets old fast. You know that feeling of putting on old soggy underwear? You need to know. You need to know the feeling of great fitting underwear that is 2 times softer than cotton. You need to know about MeUndies.com. And it is a holiday season, and I just picked me up some, so you guys should definitely do that. MeUndies is the most comfortable underwear you will ever wear, and it's insane how good they make you feel. They fit perfectly, they don't ride up on you, and they literally pull moisture away from your skin so you stay cool. They've got cool styles for both men and women, and they all look great. Check out the photos yourself. MeUndies.com. The quality would typically retail for 2 times the MeUndies price. No retail middleman means that you are saving money by going to MeUndies.com. Here, let me make it easy. You go to MeUndies.com/screenplay and get 20% off your first order and free shipping. Save even more when you buy a pack of them. They guarantee you're going to be happy with them or your first pair is free. Once you feel MeUndies.com, once you feel MeUndies on your body, you're never going back. But to get that 20%, you got to go to MeUndies.com/screenplay. And just to like seriously tell you guys, like these underwear, they're legit. And they've got cool socks and got a bunch of stuff. And so you're doing us a favor because you're letting them know that you love the show and you love MeUndies. So go to MeUndies.com/screenplay, pick some up. I can't say enough about these things.
They have hot models on their website.
Blaine, do you when you go on a date, like a first date, do you intentionally pick your underwear? Like,
Yeah.
not like, oh, I want her to see this, but like, this is my confidence underwear.
Yeah, right now I'm wearing my like Hanes, you know, like shitty ones. It's just work, you know, whatever. But like when it's like a date, I wear the nice,
I don't
classy
put- I
ones.
don't-
They're express and they're tight. They make my ass look good.
I don't really have sexy underwear.
I don't know.
I need to load
I
up
like
on
the
some
MeUndies. I like them. I feel like it gives me that extra boost.
Yeah.
Not literally.
Maybe I should
wish.
put more thought into
why
my
isn't there
underwear?
underwear that
All right,
has
all
like
right.
built in?
Yeah.
So something else that
wait.
came out.
It
Go
gives
ahead.
me confidence because it's like I wouldn't mind being seen in these, you know. So
See,
MeUndies-
I want to pick underwear. I want to be seen without the underwear.
Do you care about the color?
Huh?
So
Like
you're saying,
black underwear.
so
it's
you're
like,
saying they take off your
people
Wait,
to see
what?
you.
Wait, what are you saying
don't know
exactly?
why
No,
everybody
no,
wants somebody
no.
to
What are
see
you
this
saying
underwear.
exactly?
I'm saying
You're
it's-
saying you want underwear that looks so good on you, they want to see you without the underwear.
No,
I just
you're
wanna-
saying.
I just want to skip the step. I don't want to be walking around in my
so
underwear.
no. What
So I'm
he's
gonna
saying is he as soon as they take off his jeans, they see his underwear and they're like, take them off. Lift up your shirt. Lift up your fucking shirt, Chris.
Oh, what is that? What are
Is it,
those?
no, your shirt.
My underwear?
Oh, you're not wearing the little poor boy shirt.
Well, these are yeah.
I see what you're saying. Like you have to have like underwear
have it
so
on somewhere. I
polarizing
see it.
that the people are like, take those off right
Yeah,
now.
sure.
So like big Nazi emblems or
No, let's not go there.
Chris has these horrible ragged shirts that he wears for undershirts, and he looks like an orphan child, and they're all dirty and stained.
Wait, I want to go back to the trilogy talk.
Okay.
So, as far as a great, I would say Lord of the Rings is pretty close.
Do they get better?
I think yes.
they get bigger budget
I
too.
don't know if I think Two Towers might be better than Return of the King, but Two Towers, they're really close, and
Yeah.
they're all good.
I love The Matrix, but I do think the second movie is better than the third. The problem with the third is everything that takes place in Zion with the giant machines.
Can we go back to Matrix?
Well,
Brandon?
What the hell? It's the point of the.
But Matrix is
Everyone
not,
knows
Matrix
that.
isn't a good trilogy.
3 of 4 people here agree.
That
Matrix
it's not a
is
good trilogy.
It's
Everyone
not.
knows.
All right, let's just vote down and not talk about anything that
Brandon.
Blaine doesn't like.
No, I'm just saying.
I want to talk about Lord of the
Matrix
Rings.
is not a good trilogy. It's
we
a
can
good
talk
movie.
more than one thing.
It's a good movie.
You
It's not a
spit on
good
me,
trilogy.
Brandon.
It's a bad trilogy.
I disagree, but the third one has a lot of problems.
Everyone
So I don't think
knows-
it's one that does get better.
Smoking the Bandit is the best trilogy
So-
ever. All right, Channing.
No,
Hey
well,
guys.
Lord of the Rings.
Wait, so go-
1 is awesome. 2 raises the stakes and it's bigger, and then 3 it's like this huge
This is
climactic awesome.
The only
battle.
thing, the only problem with is Two Towers has a better ending battle to me.
Okay,
Yeah, like Battle of Helm's Deep.
but they didn't have the ghosts.
Wait,
right?
hold on.
Well,
wait.
yeah, because I thought yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So what do you think about what?
Spooky.
Well, no. Transitioning to more current stuff. What are your expectations for The Hobbit? The third one.
I haven't seen them, so I'm fixing to go on a Lord of the Rings trip. Once I
Yeah.
beat Shadows of Mordor, I'm gonna read all 3 books, and then I'm gonna watch all the movies.
The new trilogy has gotten better, though. I feel like.
I think the third one is going to be the best.
Well, it's coming out today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
JJ, what's your perfect trilogy?
First one was terrible.
Geez, that's tough, man. It all depends. Like, don't ask me. Don't ask me. But I do need to know because what time I don't know where we're at in the show because we started at a weird time. We got about a half hour. All right, cool. We're about a half hour. Hold on. Before I talk about my favorite trilogy, I want to talk to you about this. And we've already talked about Ghostbusters. We're in some weird territory. We can make our way back to The Hobbit. But Channing, okay, this was back in the Sony Leaks territory before we got into crazy Hobbitville. So one of the things that got released during the Sony Leaks was Channing Tatum and Chris Pratt. They want their own Ghostbusters.
That's cool.
Totally support.
I'm in support of that.
Completely separate from the Paul Feig female Ghostbusters. And the way they're pitching it is saying our Ghostbusters can totally exist like to kind of I don't know, pair with
Separate
your
world,
Ghostbusters.
yeah.
But that's the thing is because the Ghostbusters that Paul Feig wants to do that he's met with Rebel Wilson and he's met with Jennifer Lawrence is interested. And there's always and then there's a male character and Ryan Gosling has shown interest in it. But so that's this like female-driven Ghostbusters and Paul Feig from all those Melissa McCarthy movies and stuff. He wants to direct it, but Channing Tatum and Chris Pratt they think that they can do.
That honestly, I want to
cool.
see that one more.
I want to see that one way more.
I think when we were just talking about it, it's like the girl one. It sounds exciting. It sounds cool, but that movie sounds more fun.
Yeah, and the way that they're selling it, and it's actually Channing Tatum that was reaching out to the studio that said it was just like me and Chris Pratt, really dark, really epic. Come on, you want to do
They
it?
said Batman Returns in it too.
Like they said, they said it'd be like a Batman Begins version of Ghostbusters kind of thing, where it was like really kind of like gritty but funny, but also really gritty and scary.
Ghostbusters is such a fun movie.
Yeah,
But it's
I know,
also
If they can
scary,
make
too.
Another fun movie, then who cares? Yeah, I
Channing
think it's
Tatum,
great.
like after the 21 Jump Street, like this guy can do comedy really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Like he's funny.
And Chris Pratt's he's
Yeah.
fucking funny.
Yeah.
And then apparently they're total bros outside of like they've done a couple of like skits and stuff like that together.
Yeah.
Shows.
I would love to see that duo, and I would love to see that
Who do you
movie.
think would be the other
Ultimate
two Ghostbusters?
Would
them?
they need him?
Yeah, they would.
Well, hypothetically, who do you think?
Ernie
would be-
Hudson.
Bring
back
back
Ernie
Ernie
Hudson.
Hudson.
No. What if they got who's the other 22 Jump Street guy? Huh?
Jonah Hill.
He's
They
not a
got-
Ghostbuster.
That would be
Jonah-
funny. He'd be the funny.
Maybe.
Okay.
There's a quote from Channing's email to Amy Pascal, and it says, "Let us show the world the dark side, and let us fight it with all the glory and epicness of a, in all caps, huge Batman Begins movie. I know we can make this a huge franchise. Fun, adventure, craziness. Come on."
Yes, dude.
He's like, come on.
First of all,
He was totally
of all,
drunk.
imagine how awesome it must be to be at that Channing Tatum statue where you're like, "Sexy Man Alive," your movies do really well, you're like being cast and everything. That you can just write a fucking email to like this, like the head of a studio and being like, "Yeah, give us Ghostbusters. Come on, you want it? It'd be awesome."
He was
Who's your
drunk when he
favorite
wrote that.
Ghostbuster?
Bill Murray.
Bill
Peter
Murray.
Venkman.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Everyone says
Ray.
Peter Venkman.
I love
Ray is-
All right, well, he
Ray.
also likes the Matrix trilogy. So
Hey, all right. So Minecraft, which we're heavily based in here at Rooster Teeth. My nephew, who's like 7, fucking loves Minecraft, and so does every kid on the planet. Well, because they've been working on this for a while, but I imagine since the Lego movie was so
That's why
successful.
They don't need to do a Minecraft movie.
Well, they've been working on a Minecraft movie, but it just hit a big wall, or I guess redstone wall is what you would say. But Sean Levy, who's directed a lot of the Night at the Museum movies, him and some of his writers been working on a version of the movie, and then Mojang just read the treatment and the script, I guess, and we're like, nah, it's too much like the Goonies.
Well, that's what.
Oh, why is it a bad thing?
Because I think that thing is like Sean Levy. I think this guy doesn't really understand like what the Minecraft world is, so he's thinking more so like and people that explore caves and territory and stuff like that. Whereas I'd imagine the Mojang people want it to be more kind of like the Lego movie, where it's like creative Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal: is it's easy to say, oh, it was too much like the Goonies, not having read it. Maybe it was just a bad story.
Sure.
Yeah, and a bad script.
Well,
Yeah,
the
or
thing
maybe he
is-
just wasn't excited about it, or maybe he just didn't think it was right fit
Well,
for Minecraft.
I think Mojang's taking this very serious. The same way that Microsoft was taking Halo very seriously, where they were like, we can just cash out and put a name on it and get a good like return on it, or we can make like a movie that really represents the franchise.
They're not desperate.
No,
like
no,
they hold
no.
all the cards and all the power, so they can pick and choose what they want.
I just don't think that I like Minecraft. I don't think that there is a need for a movie, and I feel like it's just as a response to the Lego movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's no narrative for Minecraft. I guess you could argue that there isn't one for Lego.
Yeah,
but
there
it has,
isn't.
Well, but it has like a bunch of things, like elements from other movies
I mean,
and stories that come in.
before the Lego movie came out, if someone's like, oh yeah, they're going to do a Lego movie, it's like, well, what is that going to be about?
Actually,
that sounds
that's
dumb.
reminding me. But yeah,
But then they did it, and they did it well, and it's cool, so you don't care.
On a complete side note, I just found out that the "Everything Is Awesome" song from the Lego movie was written by Tegan and Sarah.
Yeah.
which are like,
that's
well,
cool.
they're like super indie, like like kind of.
Are they sisters or
also has,
girlfriends?
I don't know. They're sisters. There you go.
Who else is-
Weirdo. This isn't tattoo,
Are they
Brandon.
identical twins?
No.
Okay.
No, it was someone. There's other people in it
go watch
too.
the Matrix.
Yeah,
Brandon.
yeah. But anyway, so I thought. It was cool.
Ah, Blaine, that was so
Boom,
funny.
I got you.
All
You're
right,
just
all
desperate
right.
to find something that someone else.
Really quickly. Okay, so we got to move on. Mad Max trailer, and oh god, internet. Give me all this shit about moving on. They're always like, he keeps up way too on topic. We got things we need to talk about. So the Mad Max trailer came out this week, right? And
Awesome.
it was probably one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time. Like, it's got style galore. It's got that like total classic kind of Kubrick like esque like classical music cues. And it just looks amazing. It's done so well. This guy who did the original Mad Max, George, is it Miller? Mm-hmm. He's right on the money
He's a
with this.
mastermind.
I love the way this looks. If anyone who kind of does video knows, basically whenever you shoot something like this, everything looks really flat, the colors, and there's a thing called saturation. And I like to think they took the saturation bar and like put it to 11.
Oh, you and
They
Chris,
were
you
just
and
like,
Chris have such a hard on for saturation.
Man,
yeah,
it's-
look at that. I mean, it's like the colors, it's fun. Like, it kind of reminds me of 300 and how visually stimulating that movie was.
It
Yeah.
just looks so like stylized. Like it's like they know it's the guy who created the franchise. So of course he's gonna return and just knock it out of the park and say, "Hey, I've got money. We've got technology. Let me show you what I've always wanted to do with this franchise."
Yeah, I think I got into a talk about with Josh or somebody, but he was like, you can tell that this was like his early vision for where it was going to go, but he just didn't have the money back then. But like
Yeah.
now, it's like he's going to be able to take this idea, go
just run with
full
it.
blown.
Did he say he just always wanted to create like a 120-minute action like sequence or something?
That would be
Well,
awesome.
Yeah.
And this is
That would be
this is
amazing.
a remake, right? Not
No, it's a sequel. They're not rebooting it or anything. I mean, I guess it is a reboot, but like it is supposed to be a continuation of the Mad Max
storyline.
That's
Okay.
cool.
But it's just called.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Fury
It's
Road.
got Tom Hardy, got Charlize Theron, and Nicholas Hoult, who played Beast in that.
I never
movie.
saw Mad Max because I saw the first one. What was the first one? Road Warrior.
Clayton.
Second one's Road Warrior.
Second one is
And,
Road
and
Warrior.
third one's Beyond Thunderdome.
Thunderdome. So Road Warrior is the best one.
Okay, I saw.
Easy.
Then I saw the first one,
First one's rough.
and it was rough.
It's like a college kid's
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Can you explain exactly what Mad Max is? Like what?
well,
It's a post-apocalyptic
Yeah, it's
society.
post-apocalyptic.
Kind of like
Filmed in
there's
Australia.
no,
Kinda
everyone's
like
fighting over
SpongeBob's
gasoline,
Puzzle.
but it was like
Adventure
it was
Time.
made in Australia. It was like one of Mel Gibson's first films. And it was just it's kind of it doesn't
bonus
hold up
action.
well.
Yeah, well,
But then I've heard
First
the
one
second one is like the best one.
To his
Second
credit,
one's
to his
dope as
credit,
shit.
Terminator 2 Terminator 1 doesn't hold up well.
Yeah,
but Terminator
does.
2
Terminator 1 is pretty
Terminator
awesome.
2 holds up really
it just
well.
doesn't
Terminator
look
2 is
good.
pretty
It's,
amazing.
yeah, it doesn't look as good, but it's still like a fun movie.
Tell you
All right,
what
so hold on,
movie-
wait. I'm gonna weird time warp. Where are we at time wise? 20 minutes.
Real
All right,
quick,
go ahead.
Let me tell you what movie holds up. except for the last 3 minutes. 2001. That movie was made in the 60s, predates Star Wars, and everything in that looks like it could be made today. It's amazing.
It's true.
Until you get to like the 1970s laser show in the last few minutes. No, Blaine, I liked it. I'm just saying that looks incredibly
Still looks
dated.
with miniatures and everything. Yeah, it still.
I thought it was just like, it looked like my screensaver from like Windows 95. That might be what the screensaver was based on.
Well,
but I imagine like I was going to like a, what are the things you go to with like all the
planetarium?
Yeah, planetarium, and you're like lying back, and it's all those laser shows.
I know what you're talking about. But a lot of people don't realize this is like when they go back and watch Star Wars, the first couple of Star Wars, or even 2001, they're like, yeah, it's okay, it's a little dated. What the thing is, you don't understand is that when those movies came out, when 2001 and Star Wars came out, people were still doing plates on a string. Like people were
they were the ones that basically. Before
it was
you
still
had
shitty like 50s graphics, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe someone else did it before Lucas, but their big revolutionary thing when it came to space battles was instead of moving the models in front of the camera, they took the camera and moved them around the models, which created the illusion that the planes were actually moving, but they weren't, but it made everything look really smooth. And you know, I can't think of a single shot from Star Wars except for when they're on the speed race, not speed racers, the racing bikes.
Oh, and
on Endor?
Jedis?
Oh, are you talking about?
Yeah, on
Endor?
Other than that, I don't know a single shot in that movie that feels dated.
Well, to be fair, you're not watching the original version.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
They've been
looks
updated.
rough. Like you can see the squares around where they kind of like keyed it and stuff. It looks pretty rough.
It looks better now than it did then. because
Chris,
they've updated.
How do you know?
Chris, we derailed the podcast. We're talking about Star Wars again.
Way to go, you guys. Wait, going back to you guys are talking about Kubrick. So they just did
I do it.
Brandon's a really
No,
big
it's too
Brandon's
late.
a really big fan of the Epic Rack Battles show on on YouTube.
I love that.
He
Those
loves
guys are
that
the
shit.
most talented people.
So they just did one that's right up our alley. It's the Spielberg versus Hitchcock, which I was into, but and then it just like it's called Spielberg versus Hitchcock, and then right in the middle they're like, oh, and by the way, here's Tarantino, here's Stanley Kubrick, and here's Michael Bay.
Kubrick steals the show.
The
in that.
Kubrick is the best one. It's so, and the guy is so right on and the stylized, and he's so serious that you just kind of like you're not even like looking for jokes. You're like just kind of listening for knowledge.
Yeah.
But no, it's so good. And if you know your film jokes,
Yeah, if you're into movies, I think you definitely appreciate it. Like you can tell every time they do one of these, it's a subject they really care
I like
about.
it when they had Michael Bay come on. He just had that like kind of dubstep like motherfucking money.
I don't care.
Who
about the
cares?
movies.
Yeah.
It's all about money.
It's all about the motherfucking money. All right, so here's the question I want to ask you before we move into television. Okay, so this weekend I was at Pinballs with some friends, which is a really cool arcade / you can bring your own drinks there. And I went the same night, Button-Umathon was going on here in town, which is the Harry Knowles Ain't It Cool News thing where they sit in a theater for 24 hours and watch movies. And then they always like premiere movies way super duper early. Our own Brian Bean went there and told me that what he said. He said the interview was really good, and
Oh, was it?
yeah, he said the interview was really good, and then there was another film. I forget what it was. There's either way, but so a lot of film people were in town at Pinballs, and this one dude showed up in a fucking DeLorean. Right, and
oh, I know that guy.
No. But this is okay. And then he had the white Mr. Fusion thing sticking out of the back, right? And it was all legit. The rectangle steering wheel. Mm-hmm. He had everything, and then he opened the hood, and inside the hood were it was a Back to the Future outfit, and then it was a Peter Venkman Ghostbusters outfit, and the full like backpack and outfit. And then he had a hoverboard and all this shit, and I was like, dude, like who the fuck are you? And it was Ernest Cline. It was the writer of Ready Player One.
I don't know if he gets laid all the time or never.
It's
either one or the other.
Well, that whole thing is like are references to his book. Like apparently these all things play a part in his book, and he actually drives the real life version of them. So it was like here's a guy who's obsessed with these movies from the 80s, and then he finally did well money wise with his book that he was able to acquire these things that he's always liked.
That's pretty awesome.
So I wanted to ask you guys, like, if you finally got to that point where you like acquired all the things you wanted, like what is like think about it in a Christmas level, like what is that one movie prop or something from a movie that you would just love to own?
It'd have to be probably full Boba Fett. I'm thinking small scale with full Boba Fett armor, like the legit Boba Fett armor. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, I'd want a DeLorean, but,
Yeah,
but Back to the Future 2 DeLorean.
Oh yeah.
Where I could just power it with garbage and it fly around. And
I hate to piggyback,
talking
but
real-
the DeLorean's one of my favorite things ever. It's funny you mentioned the hoverboard. Zemeckis ignited a big firestorm many years ago. In the behind the scenes for Back to the Future, it was legit behind the scenes. They were interviewing all the directors, talking about how they made the movie, and then he gave this answer to a question about the hoverboard, and he said, "Oh well, Mattel invented these hoverboards years ago, and we were just able to grab one. They didn't release it for public safety reasons." And this wasn't a part of like a big satire video. This was legit behind the scenes. So like people were going crazy because they're like, "How do we get one?" And he was just like, "Oh, I was just fucking with you guys." And it was like the invention of trolling.
Yeah, no, it was.
Pre-internet.
What a fucking guy that Zemeckis.
I shit you not. I asked my parents for a hoverboard for Christmas one year. I was convinced. Like I heard that they were real, and I was like, I want.
They have some, but they have like
How do we
plates and they
tell
don't go
them?
too fast.
Yeah.
what do we tell Blaine?
What do we tell Blaine?
Mom and Dad, that's all I want.
All right, moving
Santa's
on.
not real also.
Move on.
Neither are hoverboards.
All right, moving on to TV for a while. Before we do, Mariel, what is our quote of the week? I believe it's from Hot Shots.
Part D.
Hot Shots Part D.
Yeah, and the first guy to get it was Keith Simnecki.
Keith Zemecki.
Yeah.
Thank
he
you
said,
for watching, Keith. We appreciate
Lloyd
it.
Bridges.
We also have our thumbnail that we released this week. We had some benches laying around the office, so we did kind of like a Forrest Gump style. All the 4 guys on a bench. I don't know if we have it, if we can see it. Let's see here. There it is.
Can somebody put Gump with us?
Yeah, we need a box of chocolates and a floating feather in our thumbnail. All right, Photoshoppers, have fun with that. All right, so television. Let's talk about TV for a while. Not all of us. Some of us watched Marco Polo, the Netflix newest show that we talked about a few weeks back. Netflix was It's the most second expensive TV show, only second to Game of Thrones. I watched 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode, and my girlfriend Jenny was like, "Oh, I love it." I was like, "I'm not sold. Let's watch one more." So the second one got me a little bit more. The first one I was a little like, this is like too Game of Thronesy.
Oh man, I love it.
Do you like it?
I love
Tell
it,
me why you
yeah.
like
See,
it.
okay, yeah, you go, then I'll go.
I think it's the setting is in a place where we've never really visited. Like we're talking about an Eastern Empire, Mongolia, and it's funny because everybody makes a big deal about the Great Wall of China that was built because of these Mongolians, and they took control of Eastern Asia. So I think it's an awesome story and an awesome setting, and that's why I think it's so exciting. Like I'm trying to think of a show or a movie that addressed this. The only thing I think of is Bill and Ted when they go and get Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
But it's interesting
Station.
because I would imagine if this continues, they can basically do any setting they want because Marco Polo's an explorer. So it's
Yeah.
like Marco Polo goes to Antarctica and they have a whole Antarctica story. Because like so much of the movie is just not about, or show is not about him at all.
Yeah, it's true. But
Well,
I still feel like they fucked up by calling the show Marco Polo instead of just something that they
Why?
could've
Marco
followed.
Polo's awesome.
Everyone knows the name.
Yeah.
Here's my issue. I've watched 2.5 episodes. All right.
Okay.
My issue with it is I don't know what the protagonist is trying to do or if he even has a thing that he's supposed to be doing. I feel like he's just hanging around.
Yeah.
And I'm like
Who's
waiting.
the protagonist?
I assume Marco Polo.
I don't think so. I don't think he's the protagonist at all. He's the audience. Like I think Marco Polo is us. Like he's observing this world. He's learning about this world as we're learning about it. Like people are doing things and telling things to him, which is explaining things to us. I think the protagonist is the Khan. I forget. It's
Yeah.
not Genghis Khan's
It's his, like,
son
grandson
or
or
grandson.
something, yeah.
I think he's the
Well,
protagonist,
how
and the
many-
antagonist is the guy from China, who's
How many
All right,
episodes- how
resisting
that's
the mantis.
interesting because to me, I'm like, when
Or
is
the
he-
cricket.
I keep wanting
Mantis.
Marco Polo to be like have a goal or to be doing something, but instead he just kind of like walks around and looks at things.
Yeah, he's not a person yet, though. Remember, like the premise, and we're not spoiling anything here.
Yeah.
We'll stick away from spoilers. But his dad came back. Marco Polo's living in Italy, and he was just a kid, and he wanted to go with his dad to explore, and so he sneaks onto his dad's ship. So he's not a person yet. He has no life experiences.
Well,
so I
he-
feel like there's nothing for him. Like we're basically seeing him learn. And I think at some point he becomes a protagonist. I'm assuming. I'm only 2 episodes in, but
Yeah.
right now he's the audience.
I think that this
Yeah.
has the same allure as Assassin's Creed. It's like interesting things
there's
that
definitely
happen.
there's definitely feelings of that too. I
guess-
I kind of get that gist.
I just want something to happen to him because it's like he's been training. And
We're how many
spoiler
episodes?
alert,
in?
he
Two and a
dies.
half.
Yeah.
Marco
I just
Polo's
want
dead.
more to have. Like I want a little more like just action. No, and I'm not saying action is in he has to fight someone.
Yeah.
Just I want him to be doing something. I
And
want
again, we're 2 episodes in.
Yeah, yeah.
And he is
Let-
training.
let's see where it goes.
2.5 episodes in. That's like, that's well over 2 hours.
Okay, like
Yeah.
I said, the first episode didn't hook me. The second episode had more of a whoa. I gotta watch the next episode. The first episode was like it didn't have like Game of Thrones slight spoiler. Like at the very first episode of Game of Thrones, it ends with Brant being pushed out the window, and that was like the whole episode. I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling this. I am kind of feeling this. Don't know. Like it's a little all over the place. And it wasn't until like Brant gets pushed out the window, you're like, I've got to see this next episode. Like I have to right now. And I didn't get that with Marco Polo. Like it ends with like kind of like some shrimpy looking dude like charging on a horse. He's like, yeah, and I was like, all right. Well, the second episode got me a lot better when it ended with the con fight.
Yeah. I dig it because I was like, I've never seen this story before.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see where
Please
it goes.
continue.
Let us know what you think, Marco Polo at RT Screenplay, or let us know in the comments. Other things that are happening right now: Parks and Rec is finishing up their final season. They've been tweeting.
Oh, those photos were so sad.
They've been tweeting photos from their set. They are very, very, very
They had
sad.
like a palette of tissues.
It's a bummer. And I think Audrey Plaza tweeted and said, "Goodbye, April Luggett. Thank you for all the years, and thank you so much for letting me be like such an awful person every day, or whatever."
That's pretty
funny. But yeah, I'm really bummed out. The last season of Parks and Rec kind of ended really weirdly because they didn't know if they were going to have another. They didn't know if they were going to have another season or not. So they did this weird thing where they jumped years into the future.
3 years in the future.
Yeah, but it was Amy Poehler that said that if they do come back, she wants to do a time jump where they jump years in the future. Because she doesn't want to have babies. Like, she doesn't want to have, like, 'cause her character just had babies.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to have, like, little kids. She wants to have, like, little, like, older children.
Yeah. Because, like, you're sucked. I mean, it's like your time is naturally, like, restricted.
Yeah. So that's interesting. No one's ever really done something like that. Show-wise. Just take, like, a time jump right in the middle.
Yeah.
Battlestar, I think, did
Mad
it.
Men does it kind of, but...
Arrested Development.
well, that's because it went off the air.
Yeah, that
but
doesn't
it still
count.
did a time jump.
Yeah, totally. So anyway...
I think
let us-
Battle started, like, 2 years, I think.
Well, Parks and Rec was one of these things, and it was similar to The Office. When The Office first came out, it was considered a failure. Like, it got canceled. They released the first season on DVD for, like, you get, like, $13. It was, like, one disc. And then it got...
The Office?
Yeah.
That wasn't canceled.
I'm pretty sure it was. Or it just got, like, it wasn't, like... It didn't get, like, the full order of episodes.
Oh, it only got, like,
six.
6 episodes. That was the thing. They constantly barely renewed it
Yeah.
because nobody watched it, but the
Yeah.
critics... Like the reviews
yeah.
were so high.
Well-
I think. I don't think it was canceled.
I definitely know the first season wasn't like super well received, but they went ahead and pushed on. I think it really kind of picked up on the second
Well,
season.
it's similar with Parks and Rec. Like the
Which,
first
yeah,
season, the
which is
first
very
season of
true.
Parks and Rec is pretty rough. And I've even heard like the stars. I think I even heard Aziz Ansari even say on a podcast say like you should just start with season 2 because the first season they're still kind of trying to get their like
Yeah,
they're trying to find
actually
themselves.
started on season 2.
So did I.
And I was like, this is really funny. I went back and watched the first season. I was like, this isn't as good.
it's a little rough. Yeah,
Have
it's
you gone
totally
back
rough.
and watched the first season, Brandon?
I tried to. I got a couple episodes in, but
Just
like
rough.
the lead male is kind of a jerk.
Oh, they got rid of him.
That's why they got rid of him. So it was
Oh
just,
wow. Yeah,
it was just not
pretty
fun and
drastic.
not interesting.
But anyway, it's crazy to me because at one point Parks and Rec was just that new show that was kind of a spinoff of The Office, and it's crazy to me that it's been already so many years and it's such a staple of TV. And I really am sad to see it go. Like I've learned to love Ron Swanson and everybody. You know. So-
yeah, and finales are so hard. I don't
true.
know. I won't spoil anything. Especially I'll try not to spoil anything the whole season with the newsroom. But they did have their series finale on a very short season. It was basically a mini series, like 6 episodes, and I thought it was fantastic. And you expect them to go out with like this big news story, like look, all this crazy stuff is happening. But it's all character driven. They're never even in a newsroom. So series finales are so difficult, but I'd be curious to see what everyone else's opinion of it was. I ignited a firestorm the other night because I ranked all my series finales, or at least a few of them. And I think Jack and Mega64 and I got in this big discussion about Breaking Bad versus Lost versus Dexter.
What is that
But like
play out?
those, I think like those episodes finales are so polarizing.
It's
And
true.
they're so hard to do.
Here's what I would say just on
Seinfeld.
the subject of
30 Rock had a great
Breaking Bad
ending.
finale. Is I think it was a pretty good finale, but it was such a good show overall
Yes.
that it's like it wasn't the greatest finale ever.
Yeah.
but it was it's like this is a great show all the way through, and that's why it feels like it's the greatest, finale.
Yeah. My issue with it was the antagonists in the last episode, and I said good guy and bad guy on Twitter, and that got confusing because Walt's a shitty guy. But the antagonists were established as antagonists like 3 episodes
I agree with that.
into it. The whole show is set up that it's going to be Walt versus his brother-in-law, Hank. And that's not what ends up happening. And I'm just like, the show, the way it handled Gus, that's how you handle a bad guy. That's how you handle a kind of finale. That's what you do. But like the Breaking Bad finale, they didn't do that.
Yeah, I guess the big kind
It's still
of,
good.
I guess you're right because the big threats.
There is no big bad.
The big threats he was going against were just kind of newly introduced and they didn't really have a lot of like.
That's I think that's what.
That's a fair way of saying
kinda,
it. So The Wire and Buffy have both been transferred over to HD. They were 4/3 regular TV shows, and here's some shots from Buffy, and even their creators, Joss Whedon and then the creator of The Wire, have both come out and said like it's shitty, not really liking it, and because The Simpsons did the same thing, because The Simpsons got redone in HD, so they had to make it 4/3 into 16:9, so they had to crop things out to make it work. So something similar has happened out because they filmed The Wire and they filmed Buffy on film, but it was shot for TV.
Yeah.
So they framed the shots so they would work specifically, dramatically as 4/3.
And at that time, when we say 4/3, we're talking about the aspect ratio.
Yeah,
it's very squarish as opposed to
a
rectangle.
Which is the 16:9 letterbox, which most HD TVs are now.
So the issue isn't the quality, the fact it's HD, because it's film. They basically rescanned it.
Yeah.
The issue is
But
it wasn't.
it's the shape of it.
Yeah.
So
it, like-
sometimes you can see in crew members
In the back,
on this because they were like, "Well, you're cropped out. No, you're safe. You're good. You're not in the shot. Don't worry. This will never be 16:9 HD in the future."
Yeah, and the thing is there's like visual effects stuff that's just we
There's
just
like
leave it
filters day
off.
for night.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Day for night, they skipped it and it looks like they're in the morning instead of nighttime.
So again, trying to clarify, they didn't actually shoot it square. They shot it on rectangle, probably Super 16 film, which means rectangular.
But
when they were editing, they basically cut out the video. So we're not seeing anything stretched.
Yeah.
We're just seeing the part of the frame that we didn't see before.
and some stuff is punched in.
Yeah,
and like
reframed. There's
reframed.
one shot where like there's a girl emerging from a fire, and what they did is they shot on 16:9 rectangle, and then they zoomed in like really tight on her, and it's super dramatic. But whenever they redo
like,
the HD, it's such a wide shot, like it's like it looks wonky. So it's weird. It's weird. Like I get there's a need to bring everything back in HD, but you're obviously gonna miss something.
Yeah, I mean, those are both great shows.
Yes.
Buffy's fucking awesome.
And-
I like that Whedon
yeah.
came out and was just like, just don't do it.
Well,
He's like,
at
just
least
watch
they
it how it's
brought
supposed to be
on
made.
the creator of The Wire to help.
Yeah.
He was a consultant.
Yeah, they didn't even consult Whedon on
Did
it.
you guys ever see those things where Joss Whedon was like writing like continuations and endings to Buffy and Firefly, but on like napkins at bars?
Yeah.
Where he would draw little comics of like what they were up to now.
No.
He did a
pretty
seventh season of Buffy, but it was a graphic novel.
Yeah.
That's right,
Buffy,
that's right.
I feel like, is the most underrated show.
People
ever.
love
agree.
that show.
It was like the UPN/WB/CW.
well,
Angel
bastard.
wasn't bad.
Well, here's a you got bones now. So here's a show that Sci-Fi is hoping that will be as critically acclaimed and forever loved as Buffy. It's Krypton. So this is another show. This is another show that it takes a character
Like Gotham.
It's like Gotham, where it takes a character you love. Batman is Gotham, Superman is Krypton. But let's do a show that doesn't have that guy and is all about before he showed up.
Guys, Tatooine, Uncle Ben.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
Would you
What
do-
he did
would
in
you
those
watch
30
that?
years.
Well,
Let's do
he just like, well, we got some moisture to farm.
It worked.
Better get
No, it's like risky business.
It works
You just see like
sometimes.
Ben like in his underwear, like dancing around in his cave.
in his MeUndies
Well,
underwear.
we're gonna have to look for another protocol drug.
Oh. So yeah, that's happening. So I can't really say anything about it because it's all still pretty early. David S. Goyer, who's been writing Superman and stuff, and I think he directed the Awful Blade Trinity. He is, I think, producing or writing the show. So we'll see. Sci-Fi is really trying to recharge its ways. There was a time when Sci-Fi had Battlestar Galactica and a bunch of shows that had weight and were winning awards.
Farscape was
and,
really
and then
good.
it just kind of went down the shitter, and now like it's been doing a bunch of kind of like Sharknado stuff, which is fine. But they're really trying to find. Ever since they rebranded them as Sci-Fi, not like the science fiction channel, they've been trying to find like that niche of TV.
I think it's interesting that they're going to go for Superman's granddad because I think Russell Crowe came out and said that he would return as is it Kal?
Oh no, Jor-El.
Jor-El. but I guess this is their way around not being able to cast
Russell Crowe.
I believe
It's interesting. Krypton, that was like probably arguably the best part of Man of Steel, I thought.
It was very Star Trek to me. It was
cool as
because
shit.
whenever I think of Superman, I think of like New York and buildings. And so when Man of Steel started, I was like, what Star Trek movie am I watching?
preemptively, I'll ask for people to fact check on the YouTube comments. But are there some interpretations of Superman where the people from Krypton are all assholes? Is it somebody?
You should write that story.
Yeah, it's like they're all really kind of evil dudes.
So it's all
and
like-
we get that like there's 1,000 different interpretations and universes of a single property, but it's like imagine watching a show, everyone's just a prick.
Right.
All right.
It's always sunny, but it's
Always Sunny
It's a
on
very
Krypton.
popular show. So we're about to finish up TV. We're going to be talking about our movie of the week, which is the one I love. But before I do, I want to say just really quickly, TNT is developing a Teen Titans, a live
I would
action.
like to talk about that.
You wanna talk about that for a sec?
Because Teen Titans was like my go-to cartoon when I was a kid.
It introduced me to a lot of characters I already know about. Like I know about like Cyborg and Raven and stuff via Injustice and video games and stuff. But before all that, I only knew about them via Teen Titans.
Yeah, and no, it's just interesting too because and the guy the one of the guys that's going to be helping out on the show, I think he's developing Gotham right now.
Maybe.
But he came out and was like, yeah, you know how like we didn't really talk about Batman in the cartoons. Yeah, we're going to talk about Batman in this version of Teen Titans. Like so
Because
like
Robin's a big part of it.
yeah, well, it's going to be Dick Grayson instead of Tim Drake. So that's going to be Nightwing, and it's going to be cool, man. Like if they could get sort of like a Buffy vibe where it's like this team of superheroes and do it
Think
better.
about,
But Buffy,
think about
though, it was a joke,
It was
though.
a joke.
Yeah.
It was like
they weren't
very
a team.
They were aware of the joke. They were like 21 Jump Street. Buffy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually
they
a
call
pretty good
themselves
analogy.
the Scoobies, and the Scoobies themselves were a lame.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
team.
we're the Scooby Gang. Like we
Just
go
one more
and
thing on
solve
Teen Titans.
mysteries.
The show, I believe, is going to be called Titans. They're not going to call it Teen Titans. It'll just be called Titans.
I just think an ensemble cast with like characters that we know and love. It has the possibility of being awesome. TNT. What's the last big thing that they did?
It's been a while, man. TNT knows drama.
They do Shield.
So Cuba Gooding.
other Shield.
No, I think it's ABC. Also, Cuba
That's
Gooding
Agents
Jr. has been casted as O.J. Simpson in
Oh,
American
jeez.
Crime Story, and we talked about this weeks back when Ryan Murphy, he's the guy who did Glee, he's the guy who does American Horror Story. He wanted to do a spin-off of American Horror Story, but base it on real life crime. So every season is one crime story that they follow. So the first season of American Crime Story will follow O.J. and it'll be all about O.J.
Is
It'll
it
be-
fiction? Like
It's gonna be it'll be fictional based on real
But,
things.
Man, this is a
Touchy.
well, it's
Yeah,
the thing
that's
is
a
he
tough
wasn't
time to do that
convicted
story.
of murder. So like, how are
He-
they going to show him?
He was convicted in a criminal court. No, sorry,
Well, no,
he was
he was
not
con-
committed in a criminal court. He was
But-
convicted in a civil court.
Yes.
I don't think they care. It's Ryan Murphy and it's Fox. They're just gonna go for things that are shocking and will get ratings.
That's a tough time though with the Ferguson trial, which is basically the opposite.
You're saying it's a tough time, but I'd imagine them in the suits are going. It's the perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because suits are the devil.
I hope this is Cuba Gooding Jr. making a comeback because I feel like he's kind of been.
Snow Dogs too, man.
Oh, fuck.
Snow Dogs.
Men of
too.
Honor is good.
And so was
and 10 years
I never
ago.
saw Radio.
Yeah,
Oh,
Radio
it
not-
wasn't bad.
No,
That
it
Ed
wasn't
Harrison. Ed Harrison.
That I mean, that's the reason from you never go full retard.
Oh,
Yeah.
you said the
that.
word.
I am Sam.
You
No,
said
I mean,
the word.
what is it? What is that quote from?
What
is
is
that
the-
from?
hey, what-
That's from Tropic
Tropic
Thunder.
Thunder. We were talking about
yeah.
that earlier.
It's-
It was, and it was also about I Am Sam, which it's very,
Well,
very
what's
inappropriate.
I Am
the
Sam is
politically
actually
correct
pretty
term
good.
This week.
Huh?
What's the politically correct this
I'll
term
not
this
joke
week?
around about it.
Yeah, I have somebody in my extended family, so it's not an issue of sensitive, but it's just being aware. And a movie like I Am Sam, I thought was very exploitative,
Really?
exploitative.
Yeah.
But a movie like The Ringer, I thought was awesome.
It was
Because-
empowering.
Yeah, it was basically like this isn't like a pity story. Like there are certain charming things and fun things about people in this situation, and I think it was even endorsed by the Special Olympics. The movie was about Johnny Knoxville, who tries to pretend to be mentally handicapped so he can win the Special Olympics, and he has teammates that are actually mentally handicapped, and they know he's not. They know he's normal, but they want to win.
Their characters are strong.
Yeah.
What's that?
Their characters are strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their character's strong, but they want to win, so they go along with cheating. So I think
Pretty good movie.
it's really tough when you're handling something like that. So I think in those situations, those movies can be very.
Yeah.
All right,
How
so
the hell do we get it from that? From
I don't
O.J.
know.
Simpson.
Real quick though, Chris, you and I both watched the Walking Dead finale, right? The mid-season finale, whatever it is. What did you think?
That's right. Walk
I mean, I thought it was good. I feel like at this point in The Walking Dead, without giving any spoilers, I
boy.
feel like they're kind of just exploring
fuck are they?
characters. They're exploring characters at this point
Yeah.
more than any. It's almost like it's a show like Mad Men to me is a character show.
That's a really
Breaking
good
Bad
point,
is
yeah.
a plot-driven show. At this point, Walking Dead has transitioned from a plot-driven show to a character-driven show.
And there have been
Okay.
They're doing like vignettes and stuff. Like with
Well,
the-
it's just like what is the main storyline? I think it's more like characters changing and characters, the dynamic
Yeah.
between characters.
There was a really great episode recently with I'm horrible with names, but
what was his character?
the Rambo woman, not Sue, help me out here, and then the guy with the crossbow.
Yeah.
I sound like I've never seen the
Daryl
show
and,
before. Daryl and it's interesting because the whole thing was about how they've changed and if they've changed at all. And I think they even responded, or they have a response to the idea that they've become different people. And that's the whole episode, basically. So I wonder, though, are they doing this at the expense of the plot? Because I feel like right now, I don't know where the show is.
Yeah.
These people are just meandering through the world. They're surviving.
Well-
but is that satisfying in itself? Or do you want this to go somewhere?
So the comic books are written by Robert Kirkman. He's also helping run the show. And in the comics, initially it was like this, okay, this is the world that we're in right now, and it was just like this big situation. But they did focus more on individual characters as the book progressed.
Sure, and I think the video games did that too.
And
Yeah.
if I'm right, the comics they've actually kind of
They've diverged.
They diverged, so that way you can kind of enjoy them both if you know them both.
I mean, I think Robert Kirkman said something along the lines of it was this. He came up with ideas for what he wanted to do, but he'd already written it. So he's just like, well,
Carol.
this is my Carol.
Carol is her name.
I was waiting for you guys to die down so I could tell you that.
All right, so going on to Movie Book Club, we're about to die down on the show, but let's see, we all watched the one I love this
Yes, we
week.
did.
Which is, actually Blaine didn't, but we're
Sorry.
letting him pass this week because he had a really tough job. He was directing one of the new shorts that we're working on. But so we're watching the trailer for the one I love, starring Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss. And it's directed by Charlie McDowell, who is the son of Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen. So I like this movie, but I'm very happy because this is the first time we've gone full cycle. Is that we interviewed Mark Duplass and the director on screenplay when they were still promoting this movie, and enough time has gone by since that screenplay that now it's on like the internet. You can rent it, and now we're talking about it. So now it's come full cycle. Here's a movie we were promoting, and now we're talking about it. What did you guys think? It's kind of a talkie. It's kind of a small movie. What was your? You guys didn't know anything about it going into it.
I had no idea. And it started out, and I thought it was just this romantic,
Kinda indie.
indie thing. And I wasn't too interested. And then when you get to the reveal of, it's about doppelgangers. And I thought the whole plot was great. What I didn't enjoy were the characters and the performances. I just didn't think these people were interesting.
How did they go about handling the doppelgangers? Was it the same actor?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
it's
the same. It was
actor.
the same actor.
Yeah.
Here's what I think about the movie. I enjoy the performances, but to me, it didn't. I don't know what it really added up to. It's like they had this thing where it was a little look into their relationship, and they were been married for a while, and they were having problems, and then these doppelgangers came in, and then it was like. I don't know, like what was the point of it all? I
Yeah.
guess it's like what do you take away from that in looking at a relationship? Like what is the theme? Like
That's pretty interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
Thank you, Brandon. I'm actually going to have to completely disagree with Chris. Yeah, I mean, you don't exactly understand where the clones came from or what they want, or are they
You're fucking
aliens,
retarded.
or is it another dimension? But I think that's okay. I think, life is about the journey, not the destination.
I never thought about
And
Wait,
I feel
yeah,
like
good-
this
all right,
point
that's
is
pretty
like-
interesting.
At some point, are you guys going to talk to each
No,
other?
I- well, I'm
Is it
just-
gonna-
well, no,
I
want-
was captivated the entire time.
God, it's like Chris isn't even listening to you, Chris.
We may not walk away knowing exactly what happened, but I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mystery, and it's exciting, and it was fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel.
Okay,
Well,
so,
no,
wait. Okay,
no.
so wait. This Chris
Wait.
is wearing a different shirt. So let me guess.
Wait.
Is that the cool Chris, and is this the nerdy Chris?
I interpret it however you want.
I don't know.
All I would say is, okay.
I don't know. I think that's a pretty interesting point, but I'd like to hear from Brandon. What do you think, Brandon?
Wait, no.
Seamless.
Brandon, I honestly, I think you look really good today. I kind of agree with Chris. I think it kind of meandered a little bit, and I don't know. I think he's pretty on point.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brandon. Which I don't know which one to respond to, Brandon.
Well, we're both here, so you can talk to both of us.
If you are listening to this on the audio podcast, Brandon is running from chair to the other chair.
No, we're just
that was my
duplicates,
doppelganger.
doppelgangers.
So okay, well, I guess in response to that, Chris, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just I want a movie to add up to something. So I completely disagree.
I was trying to make sure we had this in our head, and I wasn't listening to anything that other doppelgangers said.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
And I get there, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm responding to.
I disagree. Do you have any other final words, Chris?
Well, Chris, I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree, as they say. But, I'd like to, after the show, invite everyone except for Chris out for drinks at my house.
I would love to do that,
Thanks,
Chris.
Chris.
But,
Appreciate it.
Sorry, Chris.
It's my house now.
Well,
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Nice.
We'll see you out there.
Nice. You know how on the Monty Python, like they always, like whenever they talk about Monty Python bits, like they're always like, no one ever talks about the ones that don't work.
yeah.
That's how I felt about that bit. So the reason I like this movie is because it's small, but it's also the fact that you play make believe and you do so much with it and it works. Like they've created an entire alternate universe. They created this whole science fiction realm, but in reality, it's just a house with a guest house that they just shoot in the way they edited it. Like it's just someone walking into a guest house, they close the door, and then that's the realist.
I thought there were a lot of really clever things, and I was interested the whole time, and I want to see what happened. I just wish it had added up to something more.
Well, that's my thing is that, like, okay, so you never find out who these characters are. And that's why when I was watching the movie, I was having trouble. I was like, is this a comedy? Is this a romantic? Is this getting into supernatural feel? Is this like Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Are they going to murder?
That's what I wanted that. I wanted some sort of like climax where you know what happens. Like what is their story?
I think they hit an awkward middle ground because initially when the Mark Duplass doppelganger was saying, you know what, some things happen. Some crazy things happen, they just happen, and you have to accept that. I was like, you know what, I'll accept that. But then they actually try to explain it.
Yeah.
But I feel like they only go like 50%.
It was
still too ambiguous. So I'm like, you have to go one or the other.
I agree.
You just have
Suspension of
to
disbelief
accept it for what it is and enjoy the ride, which I do think you see a lot of films do, or you gotta get in the nitty gritty.
It was when Sophie started getting text messages from the other, like from the alternate doppelganger, that I was like, and he was like, they have cell phones? What are their plans? And I was like, yeah, how is she talking to that guy? And how's that guy like, and how's the doppelganger communicating with real guy's family and his friends? Like, how's he contacting them?
I just wanted a little more like ending, or like I wanted just a little like, what is this story? Are they doppelganger? Are they aliens? Is this? It would have been fine if it was some sort of cerebral thing that.
It's because they never explained it as
They
their
never
issue.
gave any sort of.
So what ultimately happened?
Were you guys?
Blaine's like, I don't know. I didn't see the movie.
Were you guys at all concerned? Like, there's the scene where Mark Duplass's doppelganger runs into that force field, and he's just laid out. Were you guys at all concerned when the other Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss were in the car? I was like, is that Elizabeth Moss gonna just like slam into the force field while they're driving through it and just be reduced to like molecules?
I definitely thought that, and I thought it was really clever. But also, like, once you see the ending, you realize how calculated it is. But when they have Elizabeth Moss and that girl in the exact same outfits at the end, like, you realize that whole ending, like what really happened, it was very well calculated to get to that moment.
I just feel like somebody needed a gun and they needed to shoot one of them. But I don't know. This movie makes me want to watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind because I think spiritually they're very similar, but Eternal Sunshine is just flat out better.
Well,
It adds up to so much more.
yeah,
and
because
it's like
Eternal Sunshine's also a lot bigger money-wise. Like, this is literally a movie that takes place in one
that's
location.
okay. I think it's okay to have a small movie
No,
as long as it
definitely,
adds up to something where you walk. I mean, it was a good movie. It just wasn't great.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it's
I
like-
just think it's the performances that just like they're supposed to be bland, normal people, and they did a good job at that. But that doesn't necessarily make for a good movie. There are a lot of things that are realistic about life. Like I ate cereal this morning.
Let me ask you this:
You're not going to make a movie about
What's the
that.
longest relationship you've been in?
A year and a half.
Like 5 years or so.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, so then you can see some of the the whole relationships breaking down. Like you get that point.
Well, I'm not going to get into that. Maybe Chris will. But
Blaine, you have a new girlfriend, right? How's that going?
Okay, so we'll get off that topic. But I guess one of my favorite moments, because you have to it's one of those things with same thing with Art Huckabees and some even Terry Gilliam movies. And some of my favorite movies are I just have to relinquish any kind of grasp of what exactly is happening and just enjoy the ride. And so I felt that with this movie where it's I don't really know what the fuck is happening, but I do know that I enjoyed a lot of what got me here. But it's the scene when they break into the therapist's office or whatever, and they find the computer files, and he finds the computer files of Ethan and Sophie, the doppelgangers, and they're trying to replicate their voices, and their voices go they sound nothing like them, and they keep saying the words over and over until they slowly start to sound like Ethan and Sophie, and you're like, what the fuck, are they aliens? What are they?
But then they never give any sort of
And I'm okay
explanation.
with that.
I just wanted some sort of better climax where you get a little of that.
God, but then they go a little further and they say,
See, Blaine's this movie sounds kind of weird.
Where the way the rule works is you have to fall out in love and then you're trapped here.
I didn't
and
I didn't like the trapped in the
set
house.
up all these rules.
You can't stop in the middle. You gotta commit. If you're gonna commit, then do it.
They set up all these rules.
Yeah.
They explain that they're doppelgangers transitioning to become more like them. They're having to learn from them, but they don't. I don't know. It just
This
doesn't.
movie's make believe to the 10th degree. It's like playing tag and saying, but there's a prism here and there's a base, but you can't go here. You can go here. So you have to just It's definitely, and if you think about it too much, it's kind of like source code. The more you think about it, the less you like it, and the more you just kind of go with it.
I will like source code.
Well, I will say the one thing that I've realized from these Mark Duplass movies that he's producing, because he also produced Safety Not Guaranteed, and he started off doing these mumblecore movies like Baghead and Jeff Who Lives at Home and Cyrus and Puffy Chair and all this stuff. So they've always started being just kind of talky, and this feels like a talky indie movie, but at the end it has that big force-filled special effect. And
It's not that big.
well, it's
of
not
a
that big,
special
but no,
effect.
but the same similar. In
It's like an After Effects plugin.
Well, okay, if you want to be technical about it, yeah, but I'm saying they did something similar in Safety Not Guaranteed, where Safety Not Guaranteed is a very kind of talky indie movie, and then it ends with
Don't spoil it.
oh well, it ends with a big special effect.
Okay.
So
Wonder what happens.
what I've realized with the Duplass brothers is that they've started doing that more in their films, where they're still indie kind of small movies, but then they'll put a kind of bigger kind of budget feeling.
I mean,
kind of thing into
I
it.
enjoyed the movie for what it was,
Yeah,
but it could have been better.
yeah. I mean, it's not a mind blowing movie, but it's still. This is why I like this movie, is the fact that there are not a lot of movies like this being made. And it takes money and balls in the Weinsteins who put this movie out to say, hey, this is a weird movie.
Should I go watch this, guys? Should I? Yeah.
you decide, audience.
You should decide.
Should
Blaine
Blaine go see
I've
this?
been getting a lot of tweets. I've been getting more tweets to say they enjoy the movie than people that are saying they didn't enjoy the movie. But the one underlining thing that people who have enjoyed this movie is always, I had no idea. I didn't even watch the trailer. I just watched the movie and I thought it was going to be this relationship movie, and it turned out to be this supernatural kind of.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
So that's definitely
It was
something
cool.
you gotta
I
go
should
in
say
for.
that aspect of it was cool.
So yeah, we're on the fence, but either way, it's still a cool thing, and it's cool that it exists, and it's better than probably a lot of the movies that get force-fed to you every year. Okay, so this week we were all going to pick another movie, but a lot of us actually picked the same movie. So we picked Bill Murray's Scrooged from the 80s, which is one of my favorite fucking movies. Bobcat Goldthwait's in it. A lot of cameos, a lot of cool people, but it's great because it exists in a TV studio in the 80s, and it's the story of Scrooge, but retold if he was a suit for a television studio.
Can anybody do a Bobcat?
Bobcat Goldthwait? No, I can't.
No, you
Yeah.
can't.
Oh, that guy. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was from the Police Academy movies, but he also directs a lot of movies now. He did World's Greatest Dad, and he did Sleeping Dogs Lie, which is a movie about a girl who has sex with her dog and then has to tell her boyfriend about it years later, and then they have a big complication with that.
Okay.
So he makes weird movies. Check out, and he also did
What kind of dog?
What's that movie, God Bless America? The movie where it's like American Idol, but the kids like shoot all the contestants. He's done a lot of fucked up movies. He's probably one of my favorite directors. He also did Shakes the Clown with Robin Williams. Anyway, that's enough mumbo jumbo for movies for this week, guys. Check it out, Scrooged. It's on the internet. You can find it on most streaming devices. And we'll check you guys out next week. RT Screenplay. Don't forget to check out roosterteeth.com/screenplay to the forums, and you can chat with all the other movie nerds and let them know how you feel about movies. Bye. See you guys next time.